Hey there, and welcome to the Confident Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Brooks. Join me as I sit down and chat with co-hosts, friends, and carefully curated guests and talk about all the things that empower you to become your best and most confident self. So, let's get started. Hey friend, and welcome back. So today's episode is all about taking inventory of your life. And before we dive in, just want you to take a pause, take a breath, because this is a moment to look back on, and not in a way that's going to keep us stuck in living in the past, but a way that empowers us and propels us to move forward with confidence, clarity, and peace. Because reflection, it isn't always about reliving everything. It's about learning from what we lived through. And it's about letting hindsight be our teacher and not a judge. It's about finding the lessons and the blessings that we've gone through and how and what we could take with us into this new year, new season, or chapter we're embarking on. So this episode will be something a bit different, interactive, if you will. So if you can, grab a journal, and if you don't have one nearby, open your notes app or just sit with your thoughts and let this be a guided moment between you, yourself, and God. And if you can't yet, or if you're driving or out and about, going for a walk, giving this a listen, just think through on the questions that we're going to be deep diving into. Then come back when you're ready and available to reflect and do the work. Again, this is you and your time. And just like we do inside the Confident Woman weekly newsletter, I'm going to walk you through 3 simple points to ponder, questions you can sit with, pray through, and write out. Also, if you love this kind of episode, this reflective devotional style format, make sure you're subscribed to the Confident Woman weekly newsletter. Every week we do this: a short message, a little story, an anchor verse, and 3 points to ponder that will help you come back to yourself and come back to truth. You can find the link in the show notes below. And before we get into the prompts, I want to set the tone with one simple idea. As I said, experience is one of the greatest teachers we have, but only if we're willing to learn from it. And that's the difference between repeating a year and redeeming a year. So some seasons you look back and you can name the wins easily. Other seasons you look back and, well, it's a blur, or you sometimes wish it didn't ever happen because barely you were surviving. Maybe it wasn't a year where you're thriving, but a year where you're grieving, where you're holding everything and everyone else together, or you were doing what you had to do. And, wherever you are on the spectrum, I want you to give yourself permission to reflect with compassion. And we're not living with denial. We're not going to gloss things over. And we're not going to dismiss and pretend we didn't feel any of it. The hurt, the pain, the joy, the love, the everything in between. But extend that same care, love, permission, and forgiveness to ourselves. And this, my friend, is compassion. Because as a confident woman, we don't lie about life. We tell the truth. And we let God meet us here where awareness begins and grace extends. So here's the questions that open the entire conversation here on this episode, but also with yourself. And that is, what did this season teach you that you would have never learned any other way? Not what did it take from you, not what did it cost you, though we can probably name a few of those too, but what did it actually teach you? And maybe it taught you where you were trying to control everything. Maybe it taught you that what you were tolerating, you've outgrown. Maybe it taught you how strong you actually are. Or maybe it taught you that you can't keep living on adrenaline and caffeine and calling it drive. And maybe it taught you that your peace, it's your responsibility, and it's not a reward that you earn after you've done enough, because what is enough anyway? And by whose standard and whose metric? Because isn't that essentially what we're ultimately after? We want to know at the end of the day that it was enough, that I was enough. But if you know anything about this podcast and the lessons and the conversations that we have on this show, you are enough as you are. Because your identity is not found in what you can produce or what you can create or what you can achieve. But that power, that identity of who you are and whose you are is inherited. You were created with, on, and for that purpose. So that enoughness, that's the gift, the ultimate gift that you have been given, and we get to repeat and give that back to ourselves by doing this inner work. So just sit with that for a second. Where are you striving to be enough, or to have enough, or feel enough? And now we'll move into the points to ponder. And these are the questions that I really want to challenge you to write them down, go back and listen through them again, or just push pause while you write down the question and then pause while you write through these answers. Again, this is your pace, your time, your place. So, point to ponder number 1. What am I grateful for that I didn't notice while I was living it? This one matters because gratitude isn't just about some big shiny moments. Sometimes gratitude, it's about the small mercies you miss because you're so busy getting through the day. So ask yourself, what held me up this year when I didn't feel held? Who showed up for me in quiet ways? In those stillness, in the moments where you felt that nobody was hearing you or nobody was there for you. Or maybe they were in the big ways. Who was showing up for you, to celebrate you, to cheer for you, to clap for you? What did God protect me from that I didn't even realize until later? And what did I survive that I once thought I wouldn't? What did I learn to do for myself that I used to wait on someone else to do? And if you're writing, write this line at the top of your page. Even here, there were blessings. Not because everything was good, but because God is still good, even when the seasons aren't. And so when we can reflect and count those blessings, all the good, all the bad, all the in-betweens, that's where we show up. And that's where we get to catch that silver lining. But we can't miss that. We can't overlook it and focus on all just the good or just the bad. Because the silver lining there. And that's where the lesson and the blessing comes in. So point to ponder number 2. What pattern do I need to name so I stop repeating it? This is where we get honest. Because reflection isn't only about celebrating what we went through and all the things we got right. It's about noticing what keeps happening, what keeps showing up, right? We're looking for those patterns. So ask yourself, where did I keep abandoning myself? Where did I keep saying yes when I meant to say no? Where did I keep trying to earn love, approval, or worth through performance? Where did I keep postponing rest and putting off and calling it later? Where did I keep asking for clarity, but avoiding the discomfort of change? And what have I been asking God to carry while He's been telling me to let it go and set it down? And this is the part where you don't need to beat yourself up, because again, this is no shame, no judgment, no guilt, none of that. We're not here to torture ourselves. We are here to just get honest like brutally honest. And sometimes that honesty, it sucks. But without that, we don't have the clarity. And we can't move forward if we don't know where we've been. So just tell the truth. It's just you and your honest thoughts. No one else is reading this. Nobody's asking you to share it. This is just you and your heart. Because when you name a pattern, you take away its power. That pattern can't keep repeating itself once we've recognized what it is, and therefore we've put a stop to it. And when you see it clearly, you can finally choose something different. Point to ponder number 3. What do I want to carry forward, and what do I need to lay down? This is the inventory question, not a goal-setting question. We can't set goals if we don't know what we're carrying into this next future version of what we're creating. So again, this is not a goal-setting question, not a new year, new you kind of question, just an identity question, a peace question, a stewardship question. So ask yourself, what version of me showed up this year that I'm proud of? What boundaries actually helped me breathe? What habits grounded me? What relationships felt life-giving? And which ones felt soul-sucking? What did I do that brought me back to myself? And then the second half of this question, what am I done dragging into this next season? What's heavy because it's not mine to carry? What expectations do I need to release? And what pressures am I letting pace my life? What standard am I trying to meet that God never asked of me? If you want one simple way to write this, draw a line down the page and label one side carry and the other side lay down. And let it just be that simple. Just, again, get honest. Go back and listen to these questions and just have a heart-to-heart moment with yourself. What are you carrying into this season or had been carrying this season? And it's just so dang heavy. You're just like, I can't do this. It's just exhausting. And what are you being asked to lay down? And on the flip side, what are you carrying into the season that you want to create more of, that's worthy of celebrating, that is bringing you all this abundance and this joy and laughter and peace and love and all the goodness? And then what are the things that are trying to get your attention, that are just trying to pull you away from those places? And those are the things that when we say lay it down, maybe it's just cutting the cord, saying no to those things, right? What are those things that are sucking your time, your energy, your money, your resources? And put that in the lay down column. And again, let it just be simple, but let it be honest and true. So now I want to give you a scripture for the soul, an anchor verse to hold all of this together, because reflection without truth can really turn into rumination. But reflection with truth becomes wisdom, insight. And that's your level of awareness, that now we've shined light on those areas. We can't continue to live in the darkness. And that has no power over us, because the light will diminish its darkness and despair. So here's the verse. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. That's Psalm 90:12. And I want you to hear what that's really saying. Not teach us how to hustle harder, not teach us to pretend to live perfect lives, but teach us to number our days so we can gain a heart of wisdom. Meaning, let me live aware, let me live awake, and help me live present. Help me live with intention. Help me stop rushing through the days like it's something to endure instead of something to steward and be grateful for. And wisdom isn't just knowing what happened. Wisdom is knowing what it meant so you could move differently, so you could choose differently, so you could think differently. So here's your action step for today. Completely simple and doable. Again, we're not trying to add things more to your plate. This is about unpacking what isn't going with you in this next season. So I want you to choose one sentence to carry with you this week. And that's it, just one. And it could be something like, this season taught me what? Just fill in the blank. I'm laying down blank. I'm carrying forward blank. God met me in blank. I'm choosing peace over pressure in blank. Just write it, pray it, put it on a sticky note, put it as your phone reminder. Whatever you do, just make it the line you come back to when your mind starts spinning and you feel that you're repeating these old patterns and these old cycles. And if you want a dedicated place to do this kind of reflection, my Create Your Own Story journal was made for moments like this. When you're trying to make meaning out of what you've lived through and figure it out, and you just want to know what you're going to cultivate and create next, that is exactly what the journal is all about. Start fresh, simple, easy way for your mind to just create. And I know that seems hard for many of us. We're like, but I don't know how. I need prompts. That's what this whole episode is about. We take these journal prompts, we take these points to ponder, and we start taking action. Without implied action, it's just knowledge, and knowledge just lives in our head, taking up bandwidth and space, and we need to turn that knowledge into power, and that power becomes our wisdom. And if this episode spoke to you, again, you're going to love the Confident Woman Weekly newsletter. It's where we do this every single week. 3 points to ponder, an anchor verse, some action steps, and tips that we could take immediately in our lives, and create a steady rhythm of faith-fueled reflections that help you come back to yourself and come back to truth. So make sure you're subscribed, and all that is in the show notes below. And if you're thinking, okay, I don't know what to reflect on. I just want to rebuild. I just want to reset. I just want to feel like myself again, whatever that even means. Then check the show notes for your next steps that fit you, because I keep everything organized in one simple place so you're not overwhelmed, but you find the simplicity and clarity in an otherwise complex world. So, friend, take a deep breath. You don't have to rush into this next season. You don't have to force your clarity. And you don't have to make a 5-year plan today. You just have to be willing to tell the truth about what you've lived and let God bring wisdom from it. And as a reminder, you are stronger, capable, and worthy of so much more. And you have the power to create your own story. So until next time, take care and God bless.
Hey there, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Confident Woman Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thanks again for listening.